Hey everybody, I'm Greg with ePoolSupply. Today we're going to be installing the IntelliCenter antenna. This is part number 523557. It's not the Ingenious, it's the newer version. So this is a good antenna, 900 megahertz. We're going to get this installed right now. Let's go. All right, welcome back. We're going to install this wireless link kit. The very first step, always read the instructions. Instructions are telling us we're going to go shut off the power, but let's go over there and do that now. All right, we've located the main electric panel. We're going to go inside of here, and anything labeled pool, we're going to shut that off. So we have a pool sub panel. We're hitting that breaker off. Now we're good, clear to work and install the antenna. All right, and we're back now at the panel. We have the power all shut off at the main breakers. We have our antenna, we have our Ethernet cable, and then we have to get power over Ethernet. Pentair gives you this cord cable inside the package, and we're gonna be installing this as well. So now that we've got the power off, like I said, we're gonna get in the panel here and just pull this door off to begin. Little trick to make things easier to get to. And then we're going to take off the two screws here. There's only one in this panel. Same thing here. Get to the main body and then get back in here to install the antenna. All right, now when we're back in here, the only reason we need that off is so we can get to this low voltage pocket over here. We're going to be running our Ethernet cable through here, down through these grommets, and then we're going to go mount the antenna on a wall. You don't want to mount the antenna straight to the IntelliCenter itself. You need to be, per the manual, you need to be at least 2 or 3 feet from any metal. So we're going to mount that back on this block wall behind me here. All right, with these screws loosened, we can now pull down the front panel here, get access to the back of the board. We're going to be using the Ethernet port here. And then there's a 24 volts DC cord that we're going to plug that into as well. All right, we're going to plug our Ethernet in first. Then we're going to plug our 24 volts in as well. And then we're going to connect our Ethernet cable. And then we're going to run this down the side. Any extra, we're going to cord up and zip tie inside the side pocket here. All right, with our cable ran and we measured to make sure we have enough to get to where we're mounting, we're gonna go ahead and button this back up. Like I said before, you don't want to mount the antenna anywhere where there's near metal. You want to mount that away from the panel itself for best optimal performance. Got that back on. Just gotta mount the antenna. All right, we've got our antenna. What's nice about this is Pentair includes little mounting hardware. We're gonna tap into this wall, get some holes going, put our anchors in, and then mount the antenna to the block wall here. Yeah. And then you can tweak it a little bit with the screws. So you're just going to pop the grommet out of the bottom here so we can fit our wire and run it up through there. All right, so we've finished using the manufacturer provided anchors here, gotten those installed on the wall. Like I said, again, we're doing this away from the panel. We don't want the antenna within 2 to 3 feet per the instruction manual. And then we're gonna run our Ethernet cable that comes from the panel right up the bottom here and into the board. So here's the board provided by Pentair. Comes wrapped in a nice static shielding poly bag. Prevent it from any electromagnetic somethings. We got that here. Take that. And in case you guys didn't know, with these antennas, you won't see Wi-Fi anywhere in the description, anywhere in the name. These don't use Wi-Fi. These are 2 separate antennas that communicate with themselves. They don't use the customer's Wi-Fi. So when we install the indoor antenna, that's going to plug into the internet there, and it's going to send signal to this. There's not going to be any Wi-Fi connection there other than the indoor we install. Something too, there's a unique code on this that matches with the indoor antenna. So if you have an outdoor antenna, indoor antenna, they can only talk to each other. They've been coded from the factory. There's no swapping parts in and out. This needs to get used with the 2 that come in the same package. All right, so once you have everything mounted, you've got your board pulled out. This guy is gonna slide nice into here. There's only one way that can go. I put it in the wrong way just to show you at first. It won't slide down from here. You gotta flip it around. These pins face outwards. We're gonna run our cable through here. We're gonna plug this in. And then once we get everything powered back up, you'll see some lights flashing on the board. So now that we've got that on there, we're gonna put the cover back on, mount this wire down nice and clean, and then go back inside and get the other part installed. All right, we have the outdoor antenna all set up. Now we're gonna go inside and get the companion parts, the indoor antenna hooked up. And like I was saying, on these, there is a number on the back, a code that matches that one. You can't swap and swip around. You got to use the exact same one that came in the package. What we need for inside for the IntelliCenter is the antenna. We need an Ethernet cable and then a power cord. All of that does come in the package. All right, we are inside the house at the homeowner's internet connections here. We're going to take the Pentair indoor antenna. It comes with a nice little stand here. I don't have a good place to put this because right on here in the instruction manual and everything, it says don't put near electronics. So we want to take this. I'm actually going to mount this to the wall, up and out of the way here. All right, so we have our modem here. It's being fed to the router. We want to make sure to plug this into the router. So we are plugged into the router. We've got internet. Last thing I need is power. Once I get power, I'm gonna do a quick check of all this to make sure everything's working properly before everything gets mounted. We've got power. You can see down here, our center receiver lighting up. So it should just take a few seconds. There we go. We're receiving. And then I saw a transmission there. It's gonna connect to the panel out there. And then we'll be able to go out back to the panel and test everything, do a quick internet connection test out there. So I'm gonna get this mounted here. All right, now that we have the antenna installed, cable ran, the home inside antenna installed, we're good to turn this panel back on, but let's get it covered up first. We'll head over to the home electric, turn that panel back on. All right, here we are back at the main house panel. We're gonna turn the electric back on to the pool equipment. All right, we're back out by the panel. We've got everything hooked up. Fingers crossed, we do an internet connection test. Everything comes across good here. So we're gonna go to settings on your IntelliCenter, all the way to the bottom, advanced system configuration, network and Wi-Fi setup. And then there's a thing called internet connection test. We're gonna hit that guy. It's going to check internet connection. Hopefully this goes quick. Boom, 53 milliseconds. IntelliCenter is currently connected to the internet. So we've successfully installed an antenna, and we are good to put this thing back into auto mode, and the homeowner can go back to using the app like they were before. So guys, thanks for tuning into the channel. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. We got a ton more videos coming. We have a ton of content out there already. I'm sure you've seen some of our other videos. Kyle's amazing with his explanations and what's in the box and everything. Jacob does an okay job as well. So thank you guys. Stay tuned for more videos.